good viewers, and this is Jack Knows Business.
But do you know Jack?
Today we will be talking about a few things. We will be interviewing someone from the security industry and talk about a little bit of Jack in the Box strategy with Free Friday. They do not serve curly fries. Okay.
Today's t-shirt is MySpace Ruined My Life. It's vintage t-shirt because no one really uses MySpace anymore, and Facebook and Twitter are all the rage. And
interview Jessica Cummins. Hello, Jessica.
Hi, Jack.
So we'd like to first start out with your background.
Well, first let me ask you a question. Were you born in 1995?
No, 96.
Today, actually, April 19th, in 1995, was the bombing of the Alfred P. Murrah Federal Building, in which it was the first domestic terrorism incident in the United States. I happened to be an Oklahoma City police officer at the time and responded and worked to the federal buildings. It impacted my life so much that I changed from being just a conventional police officer into a bigger, broader picture that encompassed basically Homeland Security and emergency preparedness. As a result, and having been promoted through the police department, I took an opportunity to go work at the Port of San Diego as the Assistant Chief of Police for the Harbor Police Department. I started there and very much got engaged in science and technology issues, prevention, detection, equipment. After leaving the Port of San Diego as Assistant Chief, I went and was very fortunate to get an appointment with Governor Schwarzenegger at the California Governor's Office of Homeland Security, where I was Deputy Director of Planning, Research, and Emergency Preparedness. In the position that I'm in right now, or that I've been in at the Department of Homeland Security Center for Domestic Preparedness, it's a national training center where we actually use live toxic chemical agents in training facilities. We're also incorporating biological. We also use some radiological sources. So what we do is we bring first responders and first receivers, such as police, firefighters, government officials, medical personnel, emergency managers, here to the state of Alabama to be trained on a variety of prevention, protection, response, and recovery efforts, as well as learning how to use different types of detection devices, from chemical to nuclear to biological agent detection devices.
I always thought the security industry was giant guns and big explosions, but now that you've told me about this, it's a lot more about defense and being preventive, right? Because of preventive security, if you mind me saying it like that, would it be cheaper for the government to do this and be able to use their money from taxes in other ways, in your professional opinion?
Well, it's encompassing. It's very encompassing, Jack, as far as everybody's involved in Homeland Security. The Department of Defense basically does Homeland Defense and protecting the United States abroad. Homeland Security is basically the state, the federal government agencies besides the armed forces to protect everybody in the United States and the U.S. territories. But 90% of the critical infrastructure key resource industry is privately owned, so it's going to take a partnership, and it has taken a partnership between the public agencies, whether they're federal, state, or local, and the private businesses to ensure prevention, detection, emergency operations plans, business continuity operations plan, continuing government in case there is a disaster or some type of incident that impacts the community or impacts the state.
I see. So, if you had to say one thing about the security of today, what would it be?
I believe the president and legislation going all the way back to President Clinton, from when the Oklahoma City bombing happened, that philosophy has continued, that we need to ensure that we do an all-encompassing use of our education systems, our science and research systems, to come up with technologies that could be beneficial to Homeland Security, to include cybersecurity. That's one of the key initiatives that's going on right now, because that could economically impact the United States of infiltrating a variety of databases and systems. So there's a variety of technologies people could look at to determine if they wanted to invest in the research, or as well as once they are developed and approved, that would be beneficial for investment.
Do you know about the company LRAD?
I can't really promote one particular science and technology fund, but there are a lot of interesting technology is available, and you can go to dhs.gov and look under science and technology to determine what is an authorized equipment or what is underway and being worked with the Department of Homeland Security within private industry and research labs for prevention detection equipment. The LRAD in and of itself was recently used at the G20 Economic Summit last September in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And basically what the LRAD does is it puts out sound waves that either you can hear or you cannot hear to disperse large crowds. So not only is it used at national special security events, but it's also used at local events that happen all the time, or somewhere where there might be protesters protesting and are starting to get a little bit out of control. And it is one of the authorized equipment or technologies that is allowed to be purchased through the use of grant funds. The youth of today, the future leaders of tomorrow, live in a different world as far as it relates to science and technology and how that will be used through social media communications such as your show to educate people, make people more aware, as well as opportunities that might present themselves to invest in the future of the United States as it relates to ongoing and existing threats through weapons of mass destruction and through cybersecurity issues.
Thank you, Jessica, for coming and talking with us on Jack Knows Business.
I want to thank you, Jack, for your time today, and I look forward to seeing the results of your show, and I know Jack.
Our final business is probably my favorite and the most tasty. We have the Jack in the Box Free Friday. That's play on words. Basically, what they're doing is that they're giving you a small orders of free fries. Sadly, these are curly fries, and I was quite annoyed. But their plan is that you will spend more money there. You'll buy a soda. You'll buy something else. We ended up, three of us, spending $10.41 for 3 free fries. That was the only reason why we came originally. So what Jack and Mons is thinking is that if they do this sometimes, it will really boost profits. So one of the ways to tie this into your business for a service or something is that you could say, okay, if you don't, maybe it's a person who's leaning on buying, but it's not true. Here, I'll give it to you for free. I will give you this service for free. Don't try this every time. This is a last resort. You have taken everything out. You have your Jack of all trades box right there. You are throwing everything at them and they still won't buy. And if you think they're a good person, remember, one of the things is they got to be a good person, is that you'll say, I'll do your service for free. Do something not huge and ginormous. Do something basic. Usually people will pay you. It's just in our instinct, if they're a good person. So just know that, and a lot of times you can build trust that way. Don't just give them a ton of free stuff because then they'll expect you'll give them really cheap. One last thing is that, Jack, if you're seeing this, you're my childhood hero. I've loved you. You have this giant head. So if you see this, please send me an email. Goodbye. Last episode, we had a logo competition. We had a lot of participation for this competition. We had 0 entries. So, first I'd like to say that Jack is hated. I am a hated person. Why were? I'd like to show you my new logo. Because no one actually sent one in, we got it from a logo website. Yes, we had to stoop so low. We had to get it off a logo website. I just want that to sink in. And this is it. It's got a little guy coming out of a J. Woohoo.